Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 68 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. Or maybe it's nightish time? No, not quite. It's either just morning or just night. I don't know. Oh, yeah, it's raining. That's what's going on. Last few episodes we've been playing with Elemental Craft. I think I'm ready to take a little break from that and move on to a new mod. Not really new from the perspective of the overall world of modded Minecraft, but new for the series. And also, it's definitely different. I noticed some things are new-ish looking, so I don't think everything in the mod have I seen before. So I want to check it out. And it's also like just an old school historic favorite of mine. I want to take a look at PneumaticCraft. PneumaticCraft Repressurized, to be exact, is a mod that's all about using pressure to do stuff. So unlike most other mods that have like some form of energy, like RF or IC2s or FTB industrial contraptions or anything like that, this one uses pressure to do its stuff, and it's super cool. And it looks to me, if I'm not crazy, I think I'm right about this, but it looks to me like there's new stuff to it that I haven't seen before. So I'm interested in checking it out. So let's dive into PneumaticCraft today, get the basics going. I haven't decided where I'm going to build it. Like, do we want to have a PneumaticCraft building? Do we want to have a PneumaticCraft area? Like, how should we set this up? Haven't really decided that yet. I mean, we have a big open area here that we're not really using anymore. The only thing that we had for a little bit was this volcanic source link stuff. And realistically, I don't feel like we need it so much anymore. So we could probably get rid of this stuff. Probably. So yeah, we'll do that, and then goodbye lava. We have infinite lava, remember? So we're fine. So maybe I'll build it over here, and then once we have an idea of just how much area we need, we could always, build a building around it kind of deal. Would that be cool? I feel like that might be a cool idea. Yeah, let's consider that. Okay, so with that stuff kind of all good to go here, let's look into how we get into PneumaticCraft. So there's a whole guidebook that'll, flip you through the basic concepts, how to get started, that kind of stuff. The gist is you need to get some iron and some stone. You'll want around a stack of each, maybe a bit less iron to start with. Throw your iron on the ground and blow it up. Yes, really. Collect the resulting compressed iron, a little will be lost in the explosion. And then we have to make a few things. Reinforced stone, pressure tubes, and we have to build the pressure chamber. Once you have that, you'll unlock a few more, chapters of the book, and then we can start progressing, right? Yeah, that's about it. Easy peasy. Basic materials, there's compressed iron, which is the most basic form of stuff you're going to need. And in order to get that, we're going to need to blow up iron with TNT. That'll compress it. And you'll lose about 20% of it. But once you've blown up enough, you can start crafting the pressure chamber, which you can use to make compressed iron straight from iron without any loss, which is pretty cool. So we're going to set this all up today and get it going. So let's start with like a couple stacks of iron, like maybe 2, and some TNT. Now, do we have tiny TNT from Applied Energistics? We do. This is just a smaller explosion, but it should be enough still. It's an explosion, it counts. Now, let's take off our magnet just in case. Thank you, sir. Hooray! And yeah, you can see we did actually lose right around 20%. Maybe even 25%. If you want to be all exact about it. Look at that. Yeah, literally exactly a quarter. That's kind of cool. So, it's random, so it might be a little more, might be a little less. So let's use this to build our pressure chamber, right? So to make the pressure chamber, there's a few things we're going to need. Let's see. Does it tell me in here? I'm assuming it does. There's pressure tubes. Maybe the pressure tubes I have to do first. Yeah, tubes and modules, tools. Let's see. Building materials, chunk loading. All kinds of cool stuff in here. Pressure tiers, upgrades. This just tells you how the pressure system works. I guess there's a good amount of math involved, but you don't have to worry too much about it. It's pretty easy. So let's get some pressure from PneumaticCraft. Let's get some pressure tubes, which look easy enough. Hooray! We unlocked new chapters. Ooh, we got compressors. Nice. Oh my, look at all the things we just unlocked. That unlocked a lot of stuff, didn't it? Nice. Manufacturing, fluid mixer, pressure chamber. Pressure chamber is what we're after. Oh, good, you have the multi-block design. That's cool. Nice. That's neat. Okay. So 3x3, 4x4, or 5x5. Cool. Yeah, that looks pretty easy. So let's see. That's pretty standard to how it used to be before. So we need reinforced bricks to make pressure chamber walls. So to get reinforced bricks, we can combine reinforced stone, which is this. So let's get, I don't know, a stackish of it. And then we do this. A stackish of it. Does that sound cool? And I know we're going to want some pressure chamber glass, so let's get a little bit of that. And I know we're going to want some pressure chamber valves. We're going to want at least one of those, but we get a lot per craft, so that's fine. And then pressure chamber interfaces need a hopper. That doesn't look so bad either. Nice. Okay. Well, that was easy peasy. Oh, so let's get started building. I think I'm going to go with... Should we go middle ground or start with smaller until we get... Because if we do a 3x3, that should be sufficient-ish. But 4x4 might be better to go with. Or we can just start with, you know, the biggest, which is 5x5. Might not be terrible. I feel like we should start with the smaller one. Just because I know we're going to have trouble maintaining the pressure early on. So a smaller one's going to be easier for us. So what you want is a hollow cube. You vandal. What did I get for that? Breaking machines like that is so uncivilized. Consider sneak right clicking with a pneumatic wrench instead. Oh, okay. Sweet. All right. So then we can have some glass to look inside. Because, you know, looking inside is always cool. We want our pressure chamber valve. This is how air gets in and out of the pressure chamber. And then we want interfaces, and this is how items get in and out of the pressure chamber. Cool? Look at this, nice little doohickeys here. Sweet. Bad multi-block. Not formed. What's wrong with multi-block? Is that not cool? Oh, aha, there's your problem. Oh, sweet. Goal reached. Balanced crafting system. So cool. So you're set to importing items, and I think you're probably also set to importing items? Yeah. How do I invert you? I might need to place you from the inside. Not the valve, though. The interface. Yeah, so there's that, and then that. Okay, cool. That should be cool. Sweet. So I think this is your input side, and this is your output side. Yeah. I might want to reverse those, though. So this will be your input side, and this will be your output side. Sweet. Okay, cool. That works. So now that we have a pressure chamber set up, we need pressure. So to get that, we're going to need some kind of compressor. So there's a few you can get. The creative one is obviously going to be creative mode only. So no, we're not going to recipe that. Air compressor is, it'll burn any solid fuel. So like charcoal, which we have tons and tons of. And it produces 10 ml air per tick. It will not accept lava buckets, though. Liquid compressor. It burns liquid fuels, which we'll get into in a little bit. And then finally, what we need to do is we can take a look at this one, the thermal compressor. It uses temperature differential. That's cool. I think I'm going to have to read through that one because that's kind of new to me and I'm not super sure about it. But all we need to know is compressor. We want the basic air compressor, which is going to be this. Hooray, building up the pressure. Now, here's the deal with pressure, and it's an important note that you should note. Pressure will 100% get wasted if you break any lines between it. So you'll notice most machines have some kind of little port on them, and that's where your pressure tubes can connect to. So see on the side here, it does not connect. This side, it does. Okay. Now, if we start generating pressure by, for example, putting charcoal in this thing, all the air just blows out. That's not fun. Nope. Not what you want at all. So what you do, you have to form a closed system, right? So it has to pressurize, right? Build up air pressure. So by enclosing the pipes here and connecting it to the pressure chamber, you can see that the air compressor is now building up pressure. Now this pressure is going to equalize between the different blocks. And if you look at them, Whale is going to tell you what the pressure is. So this guy's around 20. This guy's around 19. This guy's around 18, 17. So this thing's getting there, right? And I think one of these tabs will tell you the current pressure, right? 0.22. So it's slowly but surely building up. Now this guy, we can do redstone control, and I can tell you to only operate with a redstone signal. Right? What'll happen is he'll burn up the last of his charcoal, continue building up the pressure that he's got, right? And then shortly thereafter, once he stops burning, the pressure will stop building and it'll equalize across all the different blocks. So this guy will wind up having the same amount of pressure as this dude, right? He's at 0.48 now. So this one's a little bit higher because that's what's producing, right? But eventually it'll all equalize. Sound cool? It's pretty straightforward. Didn't I say you need a enable on low signal? Yeah, high signal. Now, does he stop running at this point? I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think he'll stop running. Yeah, burn through all that coal. So see how long it takes for the pressure to equalize, especially when you tick accelerate the thing? It will eventually pressurize, though. So see how that's dropping there now? And this one's climbing a little bit, but it's going to eventually balance. And everybody will be around the same pressure, right? Right in the same realm. So like 1.08 is about where we landed with everything. Pretty cool? Yeah, not bad. Now there is one problem, and you'll notice that there's a maximum bar of pressure there. Just because the max is 5 doesn't mean the machine will stop running. He can go beyond 5. And if that happens, there's a potential for explosions. So we need to keep an eye on the pressure. For now, we have to do it a little bit manually, but eventually we'll be able to automate this, obviously. Cool. So now that this is good, I think we can put some iron in here. Let's see. Let's snag some iron. Can I just put it right in? I don't know that I can. I think I have to insert it via hopper or something along those lines. So we could probably go with laser I/O if we wanted to. Maybe we should do that. That might not be a terrible idea. So how about on the down, you extract 8 items at a time. And on the opposite side of this, you can insert. Cool. So watch what happens. First off, we can click here to see all the different recipes we can make. And you'll notice this pressure bar is changing with the different recipes, right? So if we look at here, if we wanted to make compressed iron, for example, here with the pressure chamber, it tells me we need 2 bars of pressure, right? So we're not quite there yet. We're getting there, but we're not quite there. So if I threw this iron in there, right, what's going to happen is it's going to close that little door. That one's going to open, and it's going to pop the iron in. And then the same here, right? Now, every time the door opens, you lose a little bit of pressure, so keep that in mind. That's an important detail. See? See the pressure drop? Yep. That's a thing. Now, it'll repressurize a little bit, because obviously we're producing air pressure here. But every time you open the door, it loses a little bit of pressure. Now, there's upgrades we can apply to this here that will make it open and close faster, which means less air loss, because the faster the door opens and closes, the less air gets lost. But right now, there's 32 iron in there, and it's not going to do anything really until we get what we need. So what I might make is another compressor, another air compressor. Now, there's much better versions of compressors eventually that we'll get to. This is just a fun mod for me. All right, so you're also going to be on a high signal. You're going to start getting that. And then boom, he's compressed. So now we're producing air pretty much twice as fast, if you think about it. So not bad. Now we're definitely going to need to transfer items out of here, but the door won't transfer the items unless it meets a certain criteria. So let's do on the opposite side here, east, you can be extract. 8 items at a time, and on the down can be the insert. So this little door here won't open unless the item has been crafted by the pressure chamber. Now we can change this mode. I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to lose the pressure that we built up in there and have it accidentally pull out the iron ingots. But there's a bunch of different settings we can go with, and there's a bunch of different ways to make it export. But by default, the crafted mode is kind of the best. You just want to say like, hey, if you made something in this pressure chamber, go ahead and do its thing. All right, so with 2 of these air compressors cooking now, we're going to hit that 2 bars of pressure pretty soon. And once that happens, oh, what happened now? All of a sudden, the iron is turning into compressed iron, and then it's being spit out by the pressure chamber interface. How cool is that? And there they go. Cool. Easy peasy, right? Not too shabby. So that's, one of the basic crafting mechanics of PneumaticCraft. Pretty straightforward. Now, as I said, you definitely lose a decent amount of pressure every time the door opens, so you want to be pretty careful about it. My recommendation is to, maybe insert more than 1 item at a time, like I did with 8. So a hopper would definitely cause a lot of opening and closing of the doors, and that would be bad. So let's look now at the next step, which is probably what I wouldn't mind doing is looking at some kind of module. There's a bunch of modules here. I think pressure gauge is probably what we're after. Yeah. And then if we apply a module expansion card, which I think is going to be a little bit of effort to get, there's an advanced configuration we can get into on this guy. But I think I can get a pressure gauge on this for now. Let's see. Yeah, we can definitely get one of these. Easy peasy. So this thing's cool. By default, it's going to emit a redstone signal of pressure times 2. So what we're probably going to want to do, let's use laser IO for this, right? I would like you to output, and I would like you to output. Okay. And then I probably want to measure the pressure around here-ish. And here's what I'm going to want to do. If we put it here, right, you're emitting a redstone signal strength of 5. So let's stop this when he gets to about 4. So that means when he's emitting a redstone signal strength of 8. Does that sound good? Yeah. So if he's emitting a redstone signal strength of 8, this would be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What if we put our card in here? Does that work? I think that should work. That should work, right? So when he's emitting 5, he stops here. 6, 7, 8, right? So once he hits 8, this will be emitting a signal, and then it'll turn off these guys, right? So we should set these instead to low signal, so that when they get the redstone signal, they turn off. Now remember, we're burning charcoal here, and it'll only it'll stop it, but it'll keep burning whatever piece of charcoal it currently has in the being processed. So you will wind up going a little above, but you know that's okay because we're stopping it at 4 when realistically we can do 5. Cool. So let's keep an eye on this automation. So as soon as this guy hits around 3-ish, he should be emitting another redstone dust, right? And then, you know, pressure 3.5 will be here, pressure 4 will be here, and then the air compressors will turn off. And the reason I did this, A, is because this pressure tube was in my way. And B, it's because I get to use laser IO. And C, it just makes it a little bit easier to manage this stuff because we'll probably have other pressure makers in the future. And then we get to kind of, you know, share the redstone signaling a little bit easier, right? So we're coming in on 3.5-ish in a second here. And we can definitely speed up our air compressors as well a little bit. There's some speed upgrades we can get for them. But it takes a little bit before we get to the upgrade system. Cool. So you're going to sit around 3.5 now. So there's that one there. We'll come back when it's at 4. All right. Coming up at 4. So that should trigger this on, which should update you guys, presumably. You probably should have been activated by that. And you didn't get activated by that. And I'm wondering... Oh, I think it's because this guy. This is actually a little bit of a bug that I fixed in a previous, or in an update that I just released. Maybe I should update to the new laser IO because I fixed this bug. It's because he's connecting to this pressure tube right here. He's not actually connecting to the node properly. I could also fix this with a repeater temporarily. And that would solve it. But I'd rather not have to do that. Let me update to the new laser IO and see if it solves it like I think it will. All right, so hey, guess what issue's fixed? It's a minor edge case bug. Normally, if it's going into the laser node, it would work, but if it's like connected with another on the side there, it wouldn't work. So that's where the problem comes in. So what? Oh boy, we're hitting 5 bars right now. Let's clear out a little pressure. And if it goes above 5, bad things can happen. So now the thing is cool, right? Like it's 100% stopped. It'll finish, you know, doing this stuff. This is the downside with the air compressors is that they can keep burning their charcoal when they're done. Now there's other types of fuel that we can get in a bit, which we probably will. Another way to burn up air would be if we did this. Now you'll notice as soon as it pops in there, A, the pressure is going to drop a little bit, but then B, it'll immediately kick out and craft. So that's kind of neat, right? And the pressure goes up pretty fast, too. Sweet. Where is that? Oh, yeah, look, our pressure dropped below 4 now. So now it, you know, it toggled on the redstone signal. That's kind of cool. All right, so hey, that's the initial basics of PneumaticCraft. All right, so the good news is there's a bunch of cool stuff we will want to automate throughout our journey of PneumaticCraft here. So let's talk about one of the main things we're going to want to get into, and that is PCBs. PCBs are kind of like one of the more advanced units for all the cool stuff that we're going to want to get to eventually, right? So for things like, I don't know, oh, there's a pneumatic dynamo. Look at that. Converts pressure into forge energy. There's another one of those that does the opposite. Compressor. Ooh, generates a lot of air from lightning strikes. Not what I was looking for. Flux compressor. Converts forge energy, compatible with RF and many other mods energy, and compressed air. Yay! That's pretty good times. And then there's also like the fluid-based one, but that one I don't think, liquid compressor, needs the advanced PCBs, but if we want the advanced one, we might need that, because I think we have to get into assembly controllers to get advanced pressure tubes. And assembly controllers definitely require PCBs. So, PCBs are kind of like your goal when you first get started in PneumaticCraft. However, there's a long production line to get them going. And there's a bunch of cool automations that we're going to get to do. Cool. So to make PCBs, right? We need some transistors and capacitors, both of which are easy to make in the pressure chamber. Not a big deal there. However, we will need some plastic sheets, which as you can see, I've kind of got up here ready to go. We will also need unassembled PCBs, which we can either make in the assembly machine line. However, to craft these items needs PCBs, so we have to take the long route, which is etching acid. Now, the PCBs basically have an etch chance of success. So if we look at these PCBs, we'll notice that the one that we can craft has a 0% chance to succeed in an etching tank, right? This is the one we can craft. And the way we craft that is in a pressure chamber, again with plastic. So pressure chamber will get me the basics. And we need etching acid, which we can get again in a pressure chamber. So all so far, it's pretty straightforward, right? We do need a lot of plastic, though. We see plastic in kind of every component of this, right? However, in order for this to successfully etch, right, it's a 0% chance by default. You'll notice that it tells you in here you have to put it in a UV light box to expose it to ultraviolet light, and then it'll increase the chance to etch, right? So UV light boxes are made with redstone lamps, and this nifty little guy here, a PCB blueprint. Here's where the challenge comes in. We're going to need to buy that with emeralds from Amadron. And the Amadron tablet is how we can interact with that. The Amadron tablet's pretty easy to make, except we definitely need more plastic, right? There's also a GPS tool that we need, which needs a lot of plastic, and an air canister. And then we're also going to have to charge this thing up. So I believe there is a charging station from PneumaticCraft. Charging station, yes, sweet. So we'll definitely want a charging station. This is made with reinforced stone slabs. And while we're at it, we should probably get the PneumaticCraft wrench, because that's a cool one to get. We're going to need an air canister for that. And that should be straightforward. And I can show you how this thing works. Let's torque about it. Yeah, buddy. So if I plop this guy right here, I remember that his connection point is on the back here, and then I can throw a pressurized tube in. And then the pressure will redistribute across the system. So I don't know if you saw, but I had about 4.8 bars of pressure in here now. It's now 4.6 because it repressurized and shared between the two new added connections. And I can now toss this pneumatic wrench in here, and it will start pressurizing, which is cool. I don't know what this button does. But yeah, that's the gist. Now what's going to happen is we're going to slowly lose pressure, and when we drop below the threshold... Oh, you're burning up, aren't you? Yeah, we probably dropped below 4 for long enough to toggle these guys on. That might be a little bit of a problem. If we let it get too high, it's probably going to stink. But he's using up the pressure, which is nice. So hopefully we don't get above 5 for too long. I think there's a thing we can do. Isn't there a valve of some kind? Regulator module? Safety module. Alright. Oh, never mind, we had the explosion. I was just reading, and then explosions happened. I was reading, and then explosions happened. You'll notice that the wrench is now losing pressure, because everything in the system will equalize, right? Everything in the system will equalize. So the pressure that was inside the wrench was, because the charging station was lower than what was in the wrench was being depressurized to balance everything. So pressure always seeks to balance itself, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so we might want this to be, maybe we want the threshold to be 3.5 rather than 4. Maybe 4 is cutting it a little bit close. It might be cutting it a little bit close. So what I'll do is I'll just move this guy to be here. And now he'll cut off at 3.5 rather than 4. Is that cool? I think that's cool. So yeah, long story short, we have lots of automation to get into in order to get to that PCB thing. So we have to get into plastics. That's really what we need to focus on. So plastic sheets, in a heat cooling frame, you can take liquid plastic to turn it into plastic sheets, or you can do it in world. I think if you just put molten plastic in the world, it'll eventually cool off. That sounds kind of cool. But the heat frame cooling is probably what we're looking for here. Can be placed on any inventory like a chest. Yeah, that's cool. That's neat. Chill the heat frame below 0 Celsius. Oh, that's cool. For every degree below 0, you have a better chance of getting extra sheets. Sweet. So to get our plastic, right, we need molten plastic, effectively. Right? That's basically what we need. Molten plastic comes from a thermal pneumatic processing plant, and you can either use LPG or biodiesel. LPG is processed from oil, which we can find in the world, and biodiesel is processed from fluid mixer between bioethanol and seed oil. All right. So we talked about etching acid. We talked about plastic. We talked about how to get plastic. And like I said, the basic gists are we need to get either biodiesel, which comes from plants, or LPG, which comes from oil. So biodiesel is a little bit more complex, but I think it looks to me like the more fun approach. So I put it in here. Biodiesel can be made with ethanol and plant oil. Okay. So I put the appropriate ones in here. So PneumaticCraft ethanol comes from yeast and potatoes, or yeast and apples and berries, or they're just different things. I mean, so it looks like 50, 25, 50, 10, 50. So apples and sugar, I mean, we should have infinite apples, right? So apples might be the way to go for this one. But we will need yeast culture. Now, yeast culture is an interesting one. Yeast you can dupe with sugar. So you put yeast and water next to each other, and then drop sugar into the yeast, and it'll make 2 yeast instances. So that might be fun to automate. Cool. And then vegetable oil is just another thermal pneumatic processing plant. It's just basically any seeds, it looks like, will turn into vegetable oil. Or it looks like a lot of crops, like potatoes and wheat, like all kinds of stuff. So either seeds or pretty much anything will turn into vegetable oil. And that's what we'll use to get our biodiesel, right? Like I said, we could use crude oil, and we might eventually do something with crude oil. But I like the idea of being able to make an unlimited amount of this stuff. So that's probably what I'm going to go with, right? So then the biodiesel is what we'll use to make molten plastic. Now, all of this is going to have to start next episode. So next episode, we're going to come back. We're going to start the process of making vegetable oil and yeast culture, duping the yeast culture so we can get lots of ethanol, then using that to make biodiesel and yada, yada, yada. So for now, Bell20 signing off. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Lots of cool automations coming up next time. So for now, take it easy.